Hello, good afternoon. This is the start of our workshop, Energy Communities in Practice, the What's and How's. This workshop is co-organized and co-hosted by 4 Horizon projects that are all involved in research frameworks regarding energy islands. The projects are MERLON, MERLON, MUSE GRIDS, Compile, and iELECTRIX. This workshop has a duration of 3 hours. It is divided into 3 sections and aspires overall to navigate through several aspects concerning energy communities, from business, social, technical, and regulatory aspects. The first section of the workshop is dedicated to the 4 co-organizing project presentations, where the main aspects of the research frameworks will be presented and the viewpoint of each project towards the energy communities will be presented. The second and third sections will be more interactive. In the second section, we will try to, let's say, have an extensive discussion with the participation of the audience through polls. And in the third section, we will have a panel of guest experts on energy communities that will attempt to provide feedback and experience on questions related again to business, technical, and regulatory aspects on energy communities. Starting with the first section, I pass the floor to the MERLON project presentation, and my colleague Katerina Vasiliki that will start, let's say, presenting. Thank you very much.
Microphone.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Vaso, for the introduction. So I'm Katerina Vasiliki from Hypertech, and I'm going to present you the MERLON project and its contribution to the establishment and digitalized operation of local energy communities. The structure of the presentation is as follows. We will start with an introduction in the MERLON project and its objectives. We will then describe the MERLON solution and the technologies that are used for facilitating the operation of local energy communities. We will describe the MERLON pilot sites, and finally we will conclude with key expected outcomes and challenges and lessons learned that have been gathered so far in the project. Few words about MERLON. MERLON actually means Integrated Modular Energy Systems and Local Flexibility Trading for Neural Energy Islands. Our consortium is composed of 13 project partners, spanning from large industries and small medium enterprises, universities and research institutes, as well as our pilot partners who are actually local distributed distribution system operators and energy cooperatives. MERLON projects has 3 years duration. The consortium spreads around Europe in 6 countries and 10 cities, and we have already reached 368,000 people through our dissemination activities. Among the key activities of MERLON is the establishment of synergies and cooperation with relevant projects and initiatives. In this framework, we foster EU-India collaboration through the engagement and active communication and collaboration with MERLON Advisory Board and ZEN. MERLON is a supporting organization in the Clean Energy for EU Islands initiative, and MERLON strongly and actively participates in bridge-related activities. MERLON came up as an idea in order to respond to some issues identified in the structure and operation of EU electricity system. For example, the increased number of intermittent and stochastic renewable energy sources that may cause grid stresses, or the fact that stakeholders in the energy system are mainly passive actors. So MERLON has been structured to achieve the following 8 objectives. First one is to integrate large-scale capacity storage systems in order to orchestrate flexibility resources and enable intentional islanding in order to support distribution grid operation. On the other hand, MERLON targets on safeguarding local energy system reliability and contributing to the decarbonization of EU energy future. With a dedicated engagement planning, MERLON plans to establish and promote the establishment of local energy communities, as well as their active participation in energy markets. MERLON also enables the digitalization of local energy communities and enhances the integration in human-centric demand response schemes. In order for all this to be realized in real world, what we need actually is to have a transparent flexibility marketplace. So another objective of MERLON is the establishment of local flexibility markets for the fair and transparent sharing of benefits among the concerned stakeholders. In order to contribute to the EU energy system vision, MERLON targets in delivering interoperable and replicable solutions around the EU and beyond. As mentioned before, we are examining the replication of MERLON solution in India as well. Of course, one of the key objectives of MERLON is the validation of the solution and business model provided in real-life environments. And finally, as mentioned before, one of the key business objectives of MERLON is to create an ecosystem of sharing knowledge and idea. And this way, MERLON spreads the word of its solution development and operation through intense dissemination and communication activities. So let's describe a little bit the MERLON solution and its contribution to the energy transition era and the establishment of local energy communities. MERLON actually contributes to the energy transition era by combining the definition and realization of effective business models for energy communities with the delivery of interoperable ICT solutions that put actually citizens and energy communities at the center. So what we have is business models that the main stakeholder is the energy community. So we are examining 2 different business models, MERLON community taking the role of aggregator and MERLON community taking the role of DSO. Having this business model in place, we strengthen this with the provision of technological advancements that are structured around the human-centric innovation using the IoT paradigm and the integration of battery energy storage system with grid forming capabilities in order to support distribution grid management and provide balancing and ancillary services. As mentioned before, what we need in order to link all these technological and business aspects is a transparent marketplace that will ensure a fair benefit distribution among the involved actors. Diving into the MERLON solution, we can notice that we have a multi-level optimization there. So at the bottom of the value chain, there are the distribution energy resources. So these include the electric vehicles, battery energy storage system, renewable energy sources, as well as the commercial and residential buildings. At the first level, at building level, we have the local flexibility optimization management, where the different loads that exist in buildings that are going to be involved in the MERLON framework need to be orchestrated and optimally operate in order to provide their flexibility to the aggregator. This way, we come to the second level of optimization, where aggregator gathers the flexibility of the different buildings in his portfolio, performs a portfolio optimization, aggregates their flexibility, and creates a bid in order to either support the operation of a local energy system or participating in other ancillary and balancing services. Finally, at the upper level of this optimization framework, we have the integrated local energy system optimization, where we provide the tools to the distribution system operator in order for ensuring the optimal grid operation and orchestrate all the flexibility resources that belong to the integrated local energy system. As you can imagine, for integrating the hardware and all this hardware and software infrastructure, we need a secure and interoperable framework. This is one of the key objectives of MERLON, to link all these diverse assets together. And of course, in the middle, we have the flexibility marketplace, where all the transactions are analyzed in order to provide fair and transparent benefit sharing. Coming to the MERLON pilot sites, we have established 2 living labs, one in Spain and one in Austria. We have 2 MERLON pilot demonstrators. From one hand, in Spain, we have the distribution grid at the Crevillent site, which is coordinated by our MERLON partner, Enercoup, who is a local distribution system operator, a retailer, and energy community. And on the other hand, we have the pilot site in Austria, in the area of Strem, which is operated by our MERLON partner Gussing, and in this pilot also the energy cooperative EEE is participating. Having a closer look, as an example, the Austrian pilot site in MERLON, you can see the part of the distribution grid that is involved in the MERLON activities. A number of prosumers is currently being engaged in the overall framework. We have a number of renewable energy sources, a battery energy storage system, and part of these resources is going to be organized in an aggregated way under the portfolio of a local aggregator. One critical aspect of MERLON solution is the battery energy storage system, its sizing and planning, along with its procurement, installation, commissioning, and optimal operation within the local energy system is a key part of the technological advancement provided in MERLON. In this integrated local energy system, actually is where we are going to apply the 2 different business models examined before, which is the MERLON community taking the role of DSO and the MERLON community taking the role of aggregator. So let's have a look and discuss a little bit what we have had when the MERLON project started and what we expect to have by the end of the project. For example, the Austrian pilot site, we have had the local energy system with weak grid infrastructure and an ever-growing share of renewable energy sources. So MERLON and its solutions comes to provide and integrate a battery energy storage system at distribution level to engage prosumers in order to valorize their flexibility in an aggregated manner, and finally perform an optimal grid operation and enable the whole grid to operate as an integrated local energy system. So MERLON is providing the tools and means in order for all these diverse assets ranging from the utility grid, distributed energy resources and buildings to seamlessly communicate and operate in an optimal way. Coming to more tangible and quantitative outcomes, what we expect to have by the MERLON deployment in the 2 pilot sites is to achieve energy cost savings up to 27%. We expect user acceptance and user comfort greater than 95%. By using the deployment of MERLON solution in the 2 pilot site, we expected to reach peak load reduction above 50%. And finally, we expect that during pilot operation, actually the plan is to have 1 year operation of MERLON in the 2 pilot sites to be able to achieve minimization of carbon dioxide emissions up to 80 kilotons. And before closing, we would like to discuss with you some challenges and lessons learned that we have already gathered through the almost 2-year operation and developments of the project. Apart from the COVID restrictions that I think that is something that everybody has faced, and it is a challenge affecting the whole world. In the technical and business part of MERLON, one of the challenges that we have identified is how to increase user acceptance. Actually, we have identified that by raising awareness, we are able to increase engagement and the willingness of citizens to participate in MERLON activities. On the other hand, as MERLON is also exploring the islanding operation, we have identified that perhaps in order for massive uptake of such solutions, additional protection measures maybe need to be realized in the electricity network of the distribution grid for real-life operation, in order also to ensure alignment with the national regulation. On the other hand, the unstable regulatory framework may pose some barriers on the experimentation upon innovative business models like the ones introduced in MERLON. For example, what we have also faced in our pilot sites is the limitations due to the minimum size of bids. Finally, as regards the EV integration in a local energy system, we have faced some difficulties in how to gather the data from EV charging points. Actually, there are specific permissions required, and relevant arrangements with owners of the EV charging points should be considered, aligned, of course, with GDPR provisions in order for considering a massive uptake of MERLON solution. So this was a small overview of MERLON project and its contribution to the energy communities era.
Thank you very much, Katerina. And let's give the floor to Alexandra Cuneo to present the MUSE GRIDS innovation framework related to energy communities.
Okay, thank you, Vas, for the presentation, and thank you all. I will present now one of the other projects related to energy communities involved in this workshop, which is MUSE GRIDS. I'm Alessandra Cuneo from RINA Consulting, and I am the project coordinator of MUSE GRIDS. The agenda of my presentation will be more or less the same as the one already presented by Katerina for MERLON. So I will present you the project, the objectives, which are the solution that we will and we are going to implement in our project the pilot site and some insights about the expected outcomes and the key challenges raised so far. So, what is MUSE GRIDS? MUSE GRIDS is a project that started 2 years ago, more or less, in October 2018. Is 4-year project, so we are actually in the middle of the project. And the aim is to evaluate local energy system in 2 demo sites, one in Belgium and one in Italy. The project is composed by 18 partners around Europe, and we have also the involvement of 2 international partners, one from Israel and one from India, which are the demo site leader of 2 of the virtual demo site in which we are going to replicate MUSE GRIDS solution, which are based on 2 main tools. At the end of the project, we also have the aim to create local energy communities, especially in the Belgium demo site and in 2 of the virtual demo sites in Spain. So which is the objective of the project? The objective is to demonstrate and develop a set of technological and non-technological solutions towards the promotion of a smart energy system. So the idea is to develop solutions that could connect different energy networks and enhance their synergies towards the local energy independency of the demo sites. So the main aspect is related to the interaction and the interdependencies between different energy supply network, and at the end also the creation of local energy community. And in particular, we are going to work with the electricity network, of course, with the heat networks, but also with the water network, mainly in the demo site in Italy. And the tools that we are going to develop are based on these main objectives. So to control and to planning a smart energy system which is able to interconnect different energy vectors. The project is based, and the solution that we are going that are under development right now are based on 4 main pillars. The first one is the optimization and the proper aggregation of the energy grid management system in what is called multi-energy demand side tool. So within the project, we are going to develop a control that is able to control the different technology assets that we are going to install in the 2 demo sites in an optimal way, integrated the different energy networks. And the control is structured in 2 different levels. High level control, which has been created to be as much common and replicable and scalable as possible, in which demand forecasts, weather forecasts, and predictive maintenance algorithms for the grid are developed. And then we have a low-level control, which is tailored based on the constraints and the assets installed in the specific demo site. The second pillar is based on a second tool, which is called multi-energy planning tool for European citizens, that based on the mapping of the local energy demand and the mapping of the local energy sources and assets, could be planning the energy system of a particular cities, a particular neighborhood, a particular energy community. And the planning tool will be firstly testing in the 2 demo sites involved in the project, but will also then test it in the virtual demo site and in 5 other replication cities that we are engaged right now. to demonstrate its replicability and potential for the creation of future energy system for the future cities. The third pillar is based on the demonstration. So as I said, and I will present you in a few minutes, we have two real demo sites, one in Belgium and one in Italy, in which we are going to install several flexibility assets to increase the self-dependency of the system. And in particular, we are going to install neighbor battery, electric energy storage, smart electrical thermal storage to enhance power tweaks solution. We are going to install a thermal energy storage in the Italian demo site connected to a CHP for the district heating network. And particular attention is based also on vehicle-to-grid technologies with bidirectional flow. So there is a cluster of partners for the Italian demo site and a second cluster of partners for the Belgium demo site that are working in the development of EV chargers and EV vehicles, able to perform some vehicle-to-grid strategies. And there is a lot of exchange and lesson learned among the two sub-demo group, mainly related to the problem on the communication protocols and the standard that are not available and published at the moment for this particular aspect. And the second pillar, the last pillar, sorry, is related to the engagement of the end users and the creation of energy communities, which is fundamental for the activities. And in particular, especially in the Belgium demo site, a lot of activities are based on an active engagement of the end users and increase the awareness of them to have them very active in the project, also related to the proper use of the different flexibility assets that are going to be installed. And the particular mention is related to bridge because as MERLON, we are very active in the bridge initiative, in which we have a continuing interaction from the experience of MUSE GRIDS with the other projects involved in bridge. So which are the pilot sites involved in the project? We have two real demonstrations. The first one is the town of Osimo in Italy, which is a municipal microgrid in an historical town in the center of Italy, in which we have a district heating network. The demo site is managed by a multi-utility, Astea, which managed the district heating network and the water network. And here the main aim is to optimize the supply management and increase the self-dependency of the grid, thanks to the CHP installed and the large presence of PV panel. And a special attention is dedicated to the smart water pumping system installed in the demo site. And here, so the focus is mainly related to the integration of the different energy networks to increase the stability of the grid. While the second pilot site is Oudeverly in Belgium, which is managed by Finke. And it's a rural area close to Brussels. It's at the end of the line, so there are several problems on the power quality and on the grid stability. Is equipped with several renewable energy sources generators. And here we are going to integrate hybrid heat pump in the houses. We have more or less 40 houses involved in the project, and a neighbor battery that will be installed at the end of the line to increase the stability of the grid. Main aspect and main objective here is not related only to the technical part, but a lot of work, a lot of activities are dedicated to the engagement of the local energy communities. And during the first 2 years of the project, and now we partially stopped because the COVID restriction, we have a continuous active engagement of the end users via several workshops, webinar, game with them to actively involved in all the project phases towards the creation of local energy community. Apart these 2 real demonstrations, we have already engaged 4 virtual pilot sites, 2 in Spain, in this case of Belén and San Sebastián de Campus, in which 2 solar energy communities will be created. And then we have other 2 demo sites outside Europe. One is Eilat in Israel, and the second one is the area of Sundarbans in Bali Island in India, in which the tool developed within the project, so the DSM and the planning tool, will be here demonstrated in order to promote MUSE GRIDS solution not only in Europe but also in non-European countries. For what concerns the key expected outcomes, the aim in both demonstrators is to demonstrate a stable and security grid operation thanks to the flexibility assets and the tools that are under development, and bringing to this demo site a specific set of challenges and technology options, and of course everything that is related to the energy market condition. And there are several crossing-cutting activities among the 2 demo sites, which are related to solve common legal, regulatory, and market-related issues, because of course all these kind of activities need a proper regulation framework, and everything is related to the energy market condition. In terms of target, we aim in Osimo to reduce the 25% of natural gas and to reduce up to 60% of the electricity coming from the national grid, and more or less the same target are for Udeverli. The main challenges raised so far in the first 2 years of the project, in which we have installed the different flexibility assets, and in which we have developed the 2 tools that we're going to deploy in the 2 demo sites, mainly for the control part, is related to the complicated interaction and interdependency between the different energy supply networks, and the fact that the integration of multiple energy supply networks could result in a more complex energy system to manage and operate. And the interoperability of this is a critical point. The other challenge that we face is related to the regulation aspect related to the vehicle to grid and available standards. There is a lot of ongoing discussion among the partners involved in these activities to identify common standard to be used for the bidirectional flow and to the development of the charging station as well as the electrical vehicle. And the last point, which is already raised by MERLON, I think it's a common challenges of projects that involve local energy community, is the active engagement of the end users and increase the awareness on these thematics, this topic, which is not always simple, especially during this pandemic situation, which of course caused some restriction in the active engagement of the people involved in the project. So that's all for MUSE GRIDS. Thank you. And if you have any question on the project, please follow our social media, our website, or you have my email and contact me directly after the workshop. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alessandra. In fact, if we have some time, we will be able at the end of the session of this hour of the first section to answer possibly one or two questions. The rest of them will be handled either, as Alessandra mentioned, by email or by a specific chat box. So thank you very much, and let's give the floor to Jean-Pierre Lequelec to provide the iELECTRIX research viewpoint.
Okay, good afternoon. I tried to switch my camera on. It doesn't work. Let me check. You can see my screen, I suppose, but you cannot see my face.
And we are not seeing your slides.
Yeah, only your slides. I don't know why. You cannot see my face. Ah, no, it's okay. It's working now, I think.
Okay, so now we can see you, but we are not seeing your slide. We are seeing another screen.
Ah. Let me check what can you. It doesn't let me. Okay. I'm trying something. Can you see both now, or still the same?
Yeah, we are seeing your slides now in full screen.
On my face also.
No, because I think you shut down your laptop, so the webcam is not showing you.
Let me check again. I have a problem with my webcam, it seems.
Okay, but maybe it was the webcam of your laptop, and
no, I was using.
Okay.
I was using my another webcam. What can I do? I don't know. Okay, let's start. At least you can see my slides.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so. Okay, so my name is Pierre-Jacques Lequelec. I'm working in Enedis, the French DSO, and I'm the project coordinator of iELECTRIX project. Okay, so I will follow the same structure of presentation like the other projects. So let's start with the first slide of presentation, global presentation. Okay, so iELECTRIX means Indian and European local energy communities for renewable integration on the energy transition. It is a fact, a DSO coordinated demonstrators that will experiment the embedded electric island systems and also microgrids. The duration of the project is 3.5 years. We started at the beginning of May 2019, and the project will finish at the end of October 2022. The global budget is approximately 11 million euros. And to perform this project, we have a consortium of 15 European partners and also one Indian partner. So you can see the consortium on the slide that the consortium consists of several distribution system operators, research centers and universities, some suppliers, some consulting firm, some also small and medium enterprise, and we have also an energy agency. Project coordination is performed by Enedis, and the technical director is Ian. So where we are, we have completed the design and specification phase of the project, and the manufacturing of the equipment, the different systems are ongoing. There will be also some shipment, because you will see that we have a demonstration in India, and we'll have to ship all this the necessary equipment. Then we will have an on-site installation of the different system and equipment, and then we'll have to disseminate and exploit the demo results. Yes, so there is the objective of this project. So there are several main, we can say, targets for this project. We want, of course, to prepare the advent of the local energy communities as defined in the clean energy package, and the integration in the distribution networks. We want also to increase renewable hosting capacity, and to reduce also the PV connection lead time. We want also to have fully engaged customers and users. We want to increase the local use of local renewable energy sources, improve resilience of the electricity supply for the local communities, and in some cases postpone some network investments, and contribute also to the decarbonization of energy system at local levels. As a DSO also, we would like to solve some network issues and constraints, and also to increase the network flexibility. In this project, we will implement 5 real-scale demonstrators. So you can see on the map, there will be 4 demonstrators in Europe, 1 in the north of Germany, 1 in Austria, and 2 in the Hungarian country, and another one in Delhi in India. So the context of each of these demonstrations is different. For example, in Germany, we have a massive renewable generation already in place, but they face a lack of network capacity. There is also, they face also over there a lack of flexibility and storage facilities, and there are regular generation curtailments. All the demonstration in Europe will take place in the rural areas, while in India it will be urban area. In Austria, the characteristic of this pilot project will be to engage an existing, we can say, energy communities already equipped with renewable energy sources. In Hungary, they face over there a high peak load due to a high level of renewable generation, and they face also a lack of network capacity. They face also some new regulatory voltage limitation for their medium and low voltage networks. While in India, as I mentioned before, the pilot site is in the north of Delhi, so it is a full urban area. Over there, there is an incentive from the government to install massive PV rooftop installation, and they have also they need to address some severe power quality issues on the distribution network. All these demonstrations are managed by local DSOs. Next slide. What are the solutions that we will put in place for these different demonstrators? We will install in all these 5 demonstrations battery energy storage system with energy management systems. We will have also some digital substations, We will develop some generation on demand forecasting modules. As for the other project, we will also implement some demand side management program. And in India, we will implement a microgrid with islanding capability. This microgrid will be installed at the low voltage distribution level. And sometime there will be some installation of smart meters in the different areas. And there will be also some installation of smart home equipment in the different end user premises. So you can see here some pictures. So compared with the other project, we started a little bit after. So I think we are not at the same phase. But the German demonstration has started to really install the different equipment at site. So you can see here the battery energy storage system. It's a quite big container in it's a heavy one, 100 tons, and they have installed last month. You can see on the left side the Indian demonstration. This Indian demonstration will take place in the premises of a high school in Delhi, already equipped with PV panels rooftop. This is what you can see. What are the key expected outcomes? So as DSO, we want to support the integration of renewable in a faster way and cheaper if possible. We want also to support the development of energy communities and to deliver as much as possible renewable energy to the customers, to the energy communities. We want also to optimize the investment of the renewable energy communities. Let me come back. For Indian, especially, we want to improve the resilience on their local energy system, and also in Germany to develop a kind of standard for substation plug-and-play battery systems. One important part of the project will be to have a performance study regarding scalability and replicability, both in Europe and in India. And we want also to draw consequences and recommendations to the regulators, to the concerned regulators. What are the key challenges? As you can see, we face different types of ecosystems in the different demonstration. It means also some different regulatory regimes and relevance to the energy communities. The DSO also are not the same in India and in Europe. We want also to study the obligation and study between the DSOs and the energy communities. As for the other project, we want also to have an active participation of end users by developing some demand response schemes. We'll study also some business models linked to these different experimentations. And we have also to use not off-the-shelf solutions sometimes. So this is a short presentation of iELECTRIX. Thank you for your participation. And if you have any question or query, you can also send me an email and go also to our website. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Pierre-Jacques. And as the last research project, we would like to give the floor to Andrei Kubina, who will present Compile.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, and the camera. Yes, it's working. So
We are not seeing your full screen, but your the black screen with the two screens.
So let me restart it. Once again. Can you see the starter screen, please?
No, it's still the black screen.
Okay, show screen. Can you see my screen now?
It's still the same. And it's very small, so.
What about now? Any better? Okay, stop sharing screen. Now I reshared. Share my video and should be sharing also my screen.
This is still the black screen with the presentation.
I can see. Yeah, I see what you're seeing. The black screen with two. This is the presenter screen, right? Okay. What if I do it this way?
Andre, you need to share the presentation, not the screen.
I'm trying to do this. I don't know how to switch this through the. Okay, I found it. So screen of monitor 1. Now it's going to be much better. Yes. Excellent. So, good afternoon from my side. After these little few technical difficulties, I'll continue with the presentation of the compiled project. I'm an electrical engineer, and these are the challenges I live for. So we solve the challenges and we present the project. Now, okay. So the next thing, the compiled project. So I'm the coordinator of the compiled project that would like to look at the community power in energy islands. And these are the partner countries. So what do we want to do in the project is to deploy and develop renewable energy communities, prepare the tools to deploy them, and integrate all the possible actors that are involved in this. And for this, we have designed 5 pilots in 5 countries. And these are the energy islands that can use our help to establish, to grow, and to prosper. So we have taken a look at Portugal, Spain, Slovenia, Croatia, and Greece. And these are the places where we want to demonstrate our solutions. We are looking at the energy communities with various levels of maturity, and we're looking both at social engagement as well as technical aspect. I have targeted today's presentation to one specific segment of our project, and that is about how to really set up and grow the energy communities. The general presentations and ideas about the project you can find on our website or follow us through through various social medias. So about the project in a glance, we have also started in November. We have 40 now. We have extended due to the COVID situation. We have extended the project to 48 months, so 4 years. And in addition to the toolbox that we are designing, we have 5 pilot locations. We have 2 international partners from India and from China. And our goal is to establish new local energy communities. Now, the pilot locations that we have envisioned in the project are growing from very small to very immature starting to the quite mature, also in size from let's say block in a city to a full municipality, and can be classified as DSO-driven, supplier-driven, or a cooperative. So we have DSO-driven in Greece, a supplier-driven in Slovenia, a cooperative in Lisbon, Portugal, in Croatia, and in Crevillent, which is the oldest cooperative run the energy community since 70 years, more than 70 years. So we have developed two types of tools. So the energy community creation tools, one is the business analysis, business model and value analysis tool, and the other one is energy community toolkit, which I will explain a bit in detail later. And the technical tools, where we have the grid rule to help manage the microgrid, so the technical aspects, home rule that looks at the building level. Then we have EV rule that takes care of the electric vehicle management, and Compilot that helps the community sustain itself, the communication, exchange information, and support. We have also quite active in Bridge, and we're quite active in the policy and regulatory aspects. So we have elaborated already an overview for community self-supply in a form of scientific paper. And we had very good feedback on this. It's been 1 year out, so now we are about to publish already the second version, the updated version is just about to be published. And now I'd like to present the community toolkit. So how do we help the community grow? First of all, we have devised something called the maturity scale, saying, okay, where do we stand with our energy community? How mature it is it? And we have invented an indicator going from 1 to 10, and 1 being active. So the community is active, but there is still its role in the energy system is a bit unclear. And we're collecting information about the members. Then, as it becomes structured, we already have a list of members. Once it's somewhere in the middle, as a partner, we're experimenting various roles, and what we can provide, or our tools can provide, consultation to exchange information and improve. And then, as the maturity level grows, they have a first paid employee. Once the community, energy community reaches the leader level, then slowly goes to a limited set of clear roles, and the participation of all the actors is stimulated here. Ultimately, the number 10 maturity level is replicated, so it has been used as a role model for new energy communities growing up. Sorry. So then, if we go, so our community building tool has 5 blocks. One is the best practice guide that looks at all the aspects of energy community and all the services that community can provide, and we have inspiring examples for each of them. So concrete examples and support as needed. So from production, supply, grid management, energy efficiency, flexibility and storage, and other services. Then we have the stakeholder engagement guide that supports the leaders to engage, and it's centered about governance principle, voluntary open membership, democratic member control, member participation, autonomy and independence, education, training and information, cooperation, and concern for community. So there are also experiences and examples. Then we have financing guide, because without money and business models, you cannot sustain energy community. So here we have the models that are like collective action schemes, and each of them are then supported with financing tools, with standard calculation sheets, so everybody who wants to set up energy community can go and investigate this and then also use it as needed. No energy community can function without allies, so it's important to build relationship and this part of the toolkit provides guiding principles how to build with which actors. So here we have the main actors, municipalities, DSOs, other market actors, and then different building blocks that are needed to help grow the relationships and further this the social aspect. And finally, the technical tools guide. So although the main innovation in Compile is the social innovation, without technical implementation, this wouldn't be a demonstration project. So we provide the technical tools where there are guidelines for the implementation and services, the implementation of the services and technologies provided by technical tools of Compile, so that they can be easily adopted and correctly implemented by community projects. So all of our tools are taken care of through system architecture, through description, requirements and implementation, and operability. So ultimately, we have the whole community building methodology. So all the 5 building blocks, how they're tied together. We have stakeholder. The whole process is outlined in a flow, so a cascading flow form. So we have stakeholder analysis. Then we have train the trainer part, where the information on training sessions are for the leaders are set up for the local community, and ultimately the energy community creation process, where the pilot leader then mobilizes those local citizens and creates energy community around one energy project. And this is why we have our energy communities, the pilots, in various sizes and various maturity levels, so that we can test each of these building blocks. How can they be better designed, and gathering all the information from the literature, from the experience of partners, but also from the field. So train the trainer workshops are ongoing. We have co-creation activities in workshops. We have meetings with leaders and so any actors, and it's been a great success. So in addition to the technical tools which are presented somewhere else, this is the societal activities are very important for us. So social impacts through questionnaires. We track this every year to follow the progress and look at different social aspects, as solidarity, energy efficiency, that security and privacy, environmental awareness, and also that we help all the members to understand the energy system and billing. And these concrete benefits will be identified and set up as a replication group. And this here, the international partners outside of Europe will help us, so that our roadmap for European and national policymakers can be tested also outside of Europe. So here are two, there's one pilot in Croatia where we installed the PV and on a local school. And this is it. And I would be gladly answer any questions if needed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Andrei. So, with the finalization of Compile presentation, we have reached the end of the first section. Let us take 1 or 2 minutes to ask a question posed by the audience to Ms. Vasiliki and MERLON project. The question is, who will manage and maintain the MERLON platform at the pilot sites? In other words, who is the main user of MERLON platform? So, Katerina, would you like to take the floor and answer this question?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for the question. Actually, MERLON provides solution for various stakeholders involved in the local energy community value chain. So the main user is the energy community itself, who can take the role of DSO or the role of aggregator. On the other hand, members of the community, the citizens themselves, can also use the tools provided by MERLON for building automation and provision of their flexibility to the aggregators. And finally, the owners of distributed energy resources, or like the operator of a battery energy storage system, can also use our system in order for participating in an optimal operation of the integrated local energy system. As regards the maintenance part, the whole platform is developed within MERLON from the technical partners. So the maintenance during the demonstration and any support regarding further developments and so on is a responsibility of the technical partners of the project.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Katerina. So let's go to the second section of our workshop, which is purely interactive and is based on 4 different parts that analyze through polls technical, business, regulatory and social aspects in the energy communities. So to start with, we would like to give the floor to Pierre-Jacques, and if possibly to share, let's say, the screen of the polls.
Yes, so now the poll is online. The first question is, which are, in your opinion, the 2 most important technical barriers faced by energy communities? So all the attendees have time to answer. So please, could you vote now? And I will close it afterwards. I'm still waiting a bit more that everybody have time to answer. And in a few seconds, I will share the results with everybody. And let Pierre-Jacques Lequelec comment them. Okay, thank you. So here are the results.
Okay. So thank you for first of all to reply to this first question regarding the technical aspect of energy communities. So this first question was related to the most, we can say, important technical barriers. So you can see that it is the most important is technical barriers to energy markets access. And the second position is all the aspect linked to the design, operation, and maintenance of such a local energy system. So maybe we can discuss a little bit about these 2 important technical barriers. We can discuss about the if these technical barriers are already faced in the different demonstration, in the different pilot projects. So I don't know if someone from MERLON or MUSE GRIDS or Compile wants to bring some fresh information about these technical barriers. I don't know how we can share the the sound, because I suppose the other speaker are there.
Yeah, other speakers, they want, they can switch on
Oh,
their
they can, okay,
so
they can take the floor. Okay, so I don't know if someone from either MERLON, MUSE GRIDS, or Compile want to give some information about the technical barriers that they face in their own projects.
Yeah, for what I can say from MUSE GRIDS, I agree with the barriers which are the main barriers identified by the attendees. It's some of what we already face in MUSE GRIDS, and mainly related to the design, operation, and maintain of the local energy system, because in MUSE GRIDS it's we are facing some challenges to do it, and not only during the project duration, in which all the partners actively involved and work on it, but the main problem is what will happen after the project. So who will maintain and continue to operate properly the local energy system as designed during the project after its end, which is an important aspect to be considered as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Maybe Andrei Gubina from Compile. So in our case, our demonstrators are designed in such a way that that we grow energy community around it, which aims to become financially self-sustained, so that it can grow and also become the fire starter for also other energy communities with the help of our tools. So regarding here, the technical barriers that we see, that we observe, I mean, in addition to how to set up various technologies, so our partners do know how to do it. The issue is that you need to put the right partners and the right also other stakeholders in line and agree with them how they will be active, how they will activate and do put together the technical aspects and actually build the system that will work. So I don't see this here. Most probably it's about the first part about renewable energy sources technologies. But once you have this in, then data handling and the standardized demand response, these are, I think, the main aspects, because the energy market access and how to operate and maintain, these are then the actually already somehow brought in by the market participants, but the data and demand response technologies, these are the ones that are upcoming. So these are the less obvious wave that is still coming in.
Yeah, thank you, Andrej, for this clarification and explanation.
And
yes, please.
Pierre, Zach, also the feedback from the MERLON project. First of all, I have to say that we also face the same challenges as the already presented by Andrei and Alessandra. And as also mentioned in MERLON presentation, one more aspect that we have faced as a technical barrier and is for the AI landing operation, that there is a need for grid reinforcement and increase of the measures that are in place for the protection of the infrastructure and the grid if we want to go for a massive uptake of such solutions. This is something that we have faced in particular in the Austrian pilot site, and we think that it is relevant to other pilots as well if we are going to assume my landing operation there.
Thank you, Katarina, for explanation. So maybe we can go to the second question to keep the time. So it's, yeah, maybe you can explain. Or...
The second question, which are in, is a multiple answer question, multiple choice. Which are, in your opinion, the two less important technical barriers faced by energy communities? So I let all the attendees vote for that. And after I will close this poll and show you the results. The poll is still running. I'm waiting a bit more that more attendees answer to it. Okay, so I close the poll and show you the result. Here are the results. Thank you to all the attendees who have answered to this poll.
Okay, so thank you, yes, for the replies. So it's logical. We find the reverse reply compared to the first question. So in first position, we have the knowledge about renewable energy sources technologies. And then in second position, we have this the data handling, secure data handling on all the protection aspects from cybersecurity threats. Yeah, and on the other, yeah, it's a logical reply. So concerning these two, we can say less important technical barriers, I will do the same. I will ask the different project coordinator to give their opinion about these results of these questions. If you face the same, if you have the same opinion or not. So maybe we can start with MUSE GRIDS. So Alexandra, what is your opinion about these results?
Yes, okay. So yes, it's quite logical, the answer from this question. It's the opposite of the first one, and from our experience in MUSE GRIDS, it's more or less what we are facing. So the problem is not about the renewable energy sources technology and knowledge about that, mainly from what concerned the also the point of the end users. So the feeling of the end users, mainly in Udaverly demo, in which they are very actively involved, they are not they have not problem, and the main issue is not related to the knowledge about the sources, the renewable sources technologies, which are quite common in these days, in this moment. So everyone know about PV, solar panel, or similar. I'm quite surprised about, to be honest, personally, about the secure data handling and protection for cybersecurity threats, which is from the results one of the less important technical barriers. Is something that I was not expected, but okay, yeah, it can be. I don't know. It's one topic that it's really under discussion within our project, because people are worried about that. So I'm surprised that it's one of the less important, but that's okay. So
okay, yes, thank you. Thank you, Alexandra. So maybe if we want to keep the time, I don't know if someone else wants to comment this result, otherwise we can go to the next question, because I see the time and I want to leave also some time to my colleagues of the other aspects of the community, energy communities. So this is the last question for the technical aspect.
Yes, what is for you the most difficult technical area to master in order to create a local energy community? So here again, some suggestion, and I invite all the attendees to answer to this poll. Okay, thank you. So I think everybody have quite the same opinion on that topic. So I close the poll and share with you the results.
Okay, yeah, so it's quite clear. 85% as mentioned, grid control technologies, and after we have the technology for consumers at the same level of information and communication technologies. So have you experienced such difficulty to in your different H2020 projects? Have you faced some problem with the grid control technology? Who wants to take the floor for this to comment this result, which is quite clear from the audience?
Maybe Andrei Gubina from Compile, but this stems also from other projects, which, for example, Story that is ending this week after five and a half years. Actually, grid control technologies, unless you want to create a really private grid that is microgrid controlled, now the technology already exists, and this means that it is that can synchronize or decouple the part of the grid of the main grid. So this maybe I'm biased because I'm power engineer, but what we have shown in our projects is that technologies for consumers, so getting the consumers active and really connect with them and make it play for them. This is by far the most complicated and hard to do. And the next to it is energy storage technologies. Really, this is something which some mystique is around it, and it's either you say, oh, of course, you know, the integrators take care of everything and it works, or you actually do it, and for community batteries, then you find out that not all the hype is there as it should be, and control levels are missing and so on. So I would say I would go with consumers and the storage technologies.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Reply from Andres. Thank you. So maybe we have to complete this discussion. I will leave the floor to the other, to my colleagues for the second aspect.
Thank you, Pierre-Jacques, and let's move to the section of business aspect. Investigation, let's say, regarding energy communities, and give the floor to Dimitris Papadaskalopoulos from ICL and MERLON project.
Hello, hi everyone. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm Dimitris from Imperial College. So as Vasil already said, we are also participating in the MERLON project, where we are basically leading the activities around business models that this section investigates. So our focus in here, as mentioned in most of the previous presentations, is to identify suitable business models to realize the potential of energy communities in Europe, investigate in a quantitative fashion their benefits in the two pilots of the MERLON project, and also identify relevant barriers for the realization of these business models. So we really hope that through this subsection, business models will be able to find new insights from your feedback. So if we can go to the first question, this basically outlines a bit our thinking around which are the main categories, if you like, of business models. So we would like to hear your views on which of those you consider as the most promising or the most profitable ones for energy communities of the future. So we have included in here local energy trading among the community members, so providing a marketplace for local generation and storage to sell energy locally to consumers, exporting locally generated energy to the grid and participating in the wholesale market. This is the second option. Then beyond energy, we are also including flexibility services. So the third option includes providing flexibility for distribution network management to the local DSO. The fourth one, in a similar fashion, providing flexibility through ancillary service markets to the TSO or the ESO. And finally, at the end, we have a value stream associated specifically with emergency conditions involving off-grid operation and improving security of supply during such conditions. So it would be great to hear your views on which of those you consider as the most promising ones.
We are waiting. I wait a bit more that more people participate to this question, and after I will share with you the rest. Okay, so here are the results of this about this question. I'll let you comment that.
Right. So we can see most of the votes go for the first and the third one. So local energy trading and local distribution network management. To be honest, at least from my side, I was expecting, I could say, these results. It indeed seems that most of the initiatives currently in Europe are focusing on these two specific value streams. Distribution network management services, I was probably expecting to see that one as the top option. Most of the energy communities are connected to the local distribution level, so it makes sense to support the secure and economic operation of that level of networks. But also local energy trading seems as a highly innovative and promising concept. And we have seen lately, although there are not very big trials, I could say so far, there are many initiatives around enabling energy marketplaces. And we can see that then we've got equally valued the export of local generated energy and the ancillary service to the TSO, and no votes for the off-grid operation, which also could make sense given that this refers mostly to emergency conditions. Could I also maybe ask partners from other projects to comment on these results, and also a bit elaborate their views on how they see the relative importance of these different value streams and business models.
Dimitrios, we have done this analysis in Story project as a large-scale simulations about integration of storage, and we have shown that any services created locally, this also goes for energy communities, are primarily for the ancillary services and local support. So this covers both the services to the DSO and trading locally, and going to the day-ahead, it is only second option. But we must be careful of the saturating effect, because again, with local trading and local support, we have the locational value of any sources. And as soon as there is a more than enough in one location, it's hard to spill to the next to any other location. So we have to carry both dimensions, time and location.
Absolutely, I agree. Any more views from other projects, maybe? If not, maybe we could move to the second question for this section. So, as also demonstrated by the responses in the first question, one of the most important value streams is indeed the support of the local distribution network. However, we have experienced situations where the DSOs or the DNOs are not always happy about the deployment of energy community solutions, because this may distort a bit their business as usual functions. So one of the key questions we are also exploring in this context is which approaches are more suitable or more promising in maximizing the synergies between energy communities and distribution networks. And in here we have included in this question various approaches to achieve this and address this challenge, ranging from more, if you like, traditional approaches like revising the regulatory framework, the distribution network standards, and the network charging mechanisms, to more advanced ones like bilateral contracts between DNOs and energy communities in managing local constraints, operation of local flexibility markets, which is really the third option and really an extension of the second one. We have seen some recently some projects trialing such local flexibility markets where DNOs basically introduce bids for flexibility, and this can be met by various flexibility providers. And at the end, the fourth and fifth options, a bit more, if you like, innovative, either leasing from the DNO available spare network capacity to energy communities. So in a sense, energy communities become, if you like, something like a secondary DSO, or at the extreme, private ownership, the so-called private wire solutions, where basically energy communities own and operate part of the distribution network. So it would be great also to hear your views around which of these you consider as the most promising approaches.
The poll is still running a bit more. Thank you everybody for your participation to those polls. That's very valuable for all the researchers here. And here I share with you the last questions.
All right. So we see top selected options. The first one, regulatory reviews on network standards and charging mechanisms. And the third one, local flexibility markets. Again, and basically the last two options are not selected by the majority, the most innovative options. I would say once more that we were also sort of expecting that. I mean, regulatory reforms seems to be the most, if you like, traditional approach, although there are cases that these regulatory reforms take a lot of time and sometimes the outcomes are not certain, but it definitely looks like the most traditional way in dealing with the introduction of new types of users in energy communities. And of course, local flexibility markets, as mentioned before, we have seen lately a lot of projects, but also products focusing on developing such market platforms where DNOs can procure flexibility in a market-based fashion. So this market, if you like, oriented approach is gaining a lot of interest lately. Any views here from the other projects representatives on some of these options, whether they have explored them?
Yeah, from this is Alessandra Cuneo from MUSE GRIDS, and from the experience that we had in our project, I let's say agree with the most promising approach already identified by the participants. Also, in our case, based on the experience on the Verli demo site, in which there is an ongoing discussion with the DSO for the creation of the energy community. The regulatory review is the most promising one in this moment, since everything is new on this topic, let's say. So there are some years that there is an ongoing discussion on energy community, but anything is already fixed. So it's always a research on which is the best solution. And for the moment, I agree that the review of the current regulatory and standard is the most promising one to start with the energy community. Then we can move to more advanced and new approaches.
Great, thank you. Any other views here you would like to share? If not, maybe we can move to the final question for this subsection. So in here, in this last question, we now focus on the flexibility and ancillary services now for the transmission level. So there are various ancillary services, as you all know. Some of them provided in a market-based fashion, some of them not. But we would like to hear your views on which of these you believe that energy communities can contribute to. So we have included various options. We start from the first two that are basically associated with balancing services. So we have in the first option frequency regulation, mostly about primary and secondary balancing services. Second one, slower operating reserves, mainly tertiary balancing services. Then we go beyond balancing, so we've got as a third option constraint management at the transmission level. The fourth one, voltage support and reactive power management. And finally, as a last option, black start services, where basically energy communities in this context can support the restoration of electricity supply after major events such as blackouts and brownouts. So it would be great to hear also your views on which of these you consider as the most promising for energy communities to contribute to. Right, so these are the final results, I guess. So yeah, we see a clear trend for the first option, frequency regulation. Indeed, it seems that also from our experience so far in MERLON, that this is the area where probably the biggest monetary value lies with respect to flexibility requirements in future systems, mainly because of the increased amount of renewable generation integrated in power systems across Europe. So the value, the potential value of these services becomes very big and makes sense for flexibility providers to prioritize this area. Although one of the challenges here maybe lies on the fact that when we are talking about fast frequency regulation, the technical capabilities of the underlying controllers at the energy community level need to be able to provide flexibility in these very fast timescales. Any views in here from other projects around the applicability and the potential of these different types of services from their experience in their projects?
I would say, I mean, from compile, given the question here is about TSO, the energy communities are mainly at the very last mile, so they are centered around consumers and you know, mostly on low voltage. So between low voltage and transmission, high voltage level is quite a long distance, and all the information on all the interaction because of the geographic distribution of the radial network gets lost by the time it's all aggregated and put in place. So I would also support this what's highlighted in the poll. So voltage support at the point of common coupling between medium and high voltage grids, and the frequency regulation on the spot because of the local generation of renewables in the distribution grid.
Yes, thanks, Andrei. And just to add in here that obviously there are challenges with providing services to the transmission level, but on the other hand, as we all know, one of the main challenges beyond energy communities, I would say, for power systems in Europe in general in the future is the effective coordination between TSOs and DSOs. So we need suitable tools both at the data handling and technical aspects, but also in business practices and regulation to achieve effective coordination between transmission and distribution levels in order to maximize the overall value of energy communities and flexibility going beyond that. So yeah, I would say that this the answer to this question provides a clear direction for us. I don't know if there are any other views or comments.
Dimitris, thank you very much for this the presentation of the business aspects session. We have one last question from the audience, which we would like to pose to you regarding this specific poll, and then we could pass to the regulatory session. So the question is, do voltage support and reactive power management provide financial benefits for the TSO on the short term? So this is related to this, let's say, poll, the fourth option. Would you like to give us a quick answer on that before we move on to Andrea?
Yeah. I mean, I could say that these services are, normally not the first priority in general in any TSO-driven initiative around exploitation flexibility. Most of the initiatives focus on balancing services, but lately we have seen cases, especially in highly constrained parts of the network, where basically the voltage and reactive power management issues are pretty important. So TSOs are in some cases interested in exploiting flexibility in order to resolve such issues, such as, for example, having voltage beyond the normal limits imposed by regulation. And there are, for example, I could say for the UK, where our background lies, that, for example, National Grid has lately initiated projects, trials, especially around voltage support. So I would say it is a more network-specific or case-specific issue, but there is clearly an interest in some cases to procure such services in highly constrained areas.
Thank you very much, Dimitris. Let's go to the regulatory and social questions, starting from the regulatory polls. Given that we have some time restriction now, we have to complete the session in the next 15 to 20 minutes in order to move to our guest experts. Let's move from poll to poll with shorter, let's say, comments on behalf of the session leaders. So Andrei can take the floor and we can move on to the next poll.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So could you please present the next poll question? It's about the regulatory aspects. So we would like to see what do you think, or how do you consider the regulatory barriers towards the realization of the energy community business models? So here, either inefficient or incomplete regulation on the interaction between communities and other entities like consumers, DSOs, and suppliers, hindering export of locally generated energy to the grid, hindering local energy trading among community members, inefficient distribution network charging schemes, or overly restrictive constraints for the participation in ancillary services markets. Please take a vote and let's look at it. Namely, in our projects, we have seen that it's not only about technology and about money, about businesses. Also, are you allowed to do certain things? What is your certainty? Well, so how certain can you be that the rules that are in place right now will also be in place in 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years, which is the typical lifetime of a project? So let's see the results. Okay, so regarding our quick poll, these are the results. the majority think that the most critical regulatory barrier is the inefficient regulation of energy communities with other entities interaction, followed by hindering local energy trading among members and restrictive constraint of ancillary services markets, which means it is unclear and not properly specified, especially on national levels, how the entities can or may or need to interact and cooperate. And this is, in my opinion, this is really limiting. Others are the trading among members. So setting up local markets for flexibility, for example, who's going to set it up, who's going to run it, and how can the market side be connected and put together and with the physical side by the DSOs. So these are really the crucial problems here. And ancillary services markets, the definitions and proper quality setup for, so how do we get, how can DSOs get, or TSOs, the right ancillary services at the right price if they go after working closer to the limits and going away from beefing up and strengthening the grid. Any comments from the colleagues from other projects? Okay, if not, maybe we go to the next question, please. So the question is about two most important challenges or enabling factors for the implementation of energy communities in the regulatory framework of the member states. So we're looking at the member states. Either no clear definition of energy community, or is undefined responsibilities between microgrid operators and the DSOs, non-standardized DSO activities regarding metering data sharing on hourly level, ensuring data security and availability, or pricing of the self-supplied electricity for final consumers. Please take a minute, like in the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. There should be a dramatic music somehow in there.
So basically, by looking at the rates, about almost 40 to 50% of the audience participates in the voting. We encourage all of the audience to participate to that. This would help us very much collect some feedback and enrich also our research, the research in our projects.
Indeed, because if we get the results 50-50, then we know that only 2 persons voted.
No, we can see the participation. We see that at least 43% at this question of the audience has voted. So we have a diversity of opinion.
Thank you for this. We appreciate your feedback regarding this. And
yeah, and now we have 50% for the audience, and it's still raising. Yeah. Thank you very much, everybody. Now I can share the results with you. We are at 60% of participations, and here are the results.
okay, so here the undefined responsibilities between microgrid operator and DSO is leading among them, showing that this is where we so the energy communities are the least so see that's the most friction. Actually, who owns the grid, who operates the grid, is it private, is it public, and what if something goes wrong? So these are really the key questions that we can see among the DSO operators. and then followed by non-standardized metering data sharing. So this has been around since the introduction of the market on distribution level or transmission. Yeah. And then this ties together with the clean definition of energy community, because to specify who does what when. And ultimately then the last two questions, the last two answers, pricing of self-supplied electricity for final consumers and ensuring data security and availability. Yeah, because we said go for two, and this is why these two lost, although they're still quite important, how to price them. How to price and how to make it sure the security works. What about any ideas from the partners?
Yes, Pierre-Jacques is speaking. Yes, as a DSO representative, I fully agree with this aspect and undefined responsibility between a typical microgrid operator and DSO. The things are not so clear for the time being. IRP will change in some time, but this is something important to take into account. And yeah, I fully agree with this opinion.
Okay, thank you. And let's go for the next poll for the final question of the regulatory aspects. Which two aspects make the energy cooperatives most, so especially interesting model to develop, finance and implement local energy, renewable energy projects? So the five answers: different actors combine their interests to get involved in the decision-making process at the local level. Active participation of citizens in the implementation of local RES projects. Local economy is strengthened through citizens' joint investment in projects. Social injustice is reduced, since also women and citizens with low incomes can actively participate in cooperatives, so horizontal participation. And energy supply is tailored to specific needs to the members instead of high return for the shareholders. It's for the members instead of shareholders. We have a bit longer answers, but we had to shorten them to fit in the poll. Please go ahead and vote. Thank you.
So up to now, 36% of the audience has voted. So we
it's understandable. It's understandable. They're tough questions.
Yes, yes, exactly. But we could all, as consumers and prosumers, let's say, place ourselves in the role as member of energy communities, potentially in our neighborhoods, etc. So this is also an interesting question because it touches social aspects.
Indeed. Okay, and here are the results for the question. We show that so local economy strengthening, so through citizens enjoyment, citizens joint investment projects. This is the most important aspect that makes energy cooperatives especially interesting. And the second one is social injustice is reduced because it's all inclusive. And this is indeed an important aspect. So it's the cooperation view, and it's and then the rest is evenly spread among different actors combining their interests, active participation of citizens in RES projects, and energy supply being tailored to the needs of the members. So this also goes hand in hand with the findings of a Nobel laureate that talked about, I forgot his name, but he talked about the cooperation being more important than competition here. And this is why it's really important that we that we reduce the social injustice, make more inclusive models, and this way the local economy through energy communities would be strengthened. Is there any comment from the partner projects? Sorry, sister projects?
So I think that this question was a bit tricky in the sense that, in my opinion, and from the experience in participating in different projects, I think that all of them are quite critical, and this is why the participation of energy communities as a business model is really attractive in order to realize the different goals that we foresee in the energy transition era.
Well, indeed, the questions, so we have listed, there's no easy answers. You know, I come from academia, and we don't just give our students free pass. So we put tough questions out and see that then we can see how the audience actually feels about this. And that's why we also said for two aspects to choose.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the regulatory approach. Thank you, Andrei. And let's go to Alessandra and the questions regarding social aspects. We will have to run a little bit through the three last questions of the poll, given some time restrictions that we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vasto. So the idea of the last part of this section 2 is related to understand which are the main barriers and which is the feeling from the audience about social aspect. So the first question is relating to the question that usually are asked by energy citizens when we try to onboarding them in an energy community. And we would like to understand from the audience which of the following question do you think is the hardest one to be answered. So there is of course no correct answer, but the idea is to understand among these questions which you think is the most difficult to be answered. The questions are related to why change if the current system is working, which is reasonable question from energy citizen. The second one is how can I ensure the security of my energy supply? The third one is related to how does an energy community work? Then we have what are the legal implications of an energy community, which is for sure an important aspect to be considered. So if I join an energy community, which implication I have as an energy citizen. And the last one is related to how I can monetize my participation in an energy community. So let's vote and see which do you think is the most difficult question to be answered.
I think that already a large percentage of the audience has participated, so we could possibly show the results.
Okay. So let's see. Okay, I said that 50%. Okay, think that the most hardest one is related to the monetization of the participation in energy community, and then we have the security of the energy supply. But in general, I say that there is a quite a distribution of answer from our opinion and from experience of MUSE GRIDS. The last one, so how I can monetize my participation in energy community, is a critical question, because when we go to the energy citizen and say, okay, would you like to join an energy community, they always see about the economic part. So if this will have an impact on their tariff and what benefits they have, not only in terms of technological aspect, but mainly on the economic one. So they would like to decrease, for example, their bills or whatever. So it's always one of the main questions raised by energy citizen, but for sure it's always difficult to answer them. So I think we can go to the next poll, which is related now. What we would like to understand is which do you think are the key arguments that can increase social acceptance of energy community? So to understand how to increase the social acceptance. The answer are related to specify them and present them the latest technologies. The second answer is related to efficient and secure supply of energy. Then we have communal and collective dynamics of sharing and exchanging. Then we have the monetization of the energy marketplace, or the simplicity in explain benefit and engaging the citizen. So which of these arguments is the most promising one for increasing the awareness and acceptance of energy communities among energy citizens? So let's vote. Okay, we have already the results. Okay, so the key arguments identified with the 75% is the simplicity in explain benefits and engaging the citizen. And then we have a good balance between the efficient and secure supply of energy and the monetization of energy marketplace, while no answer were no answer about keeping up with the latest technology. So again, the simplicity in explain the benefit to the citizen, it's a key point in the social acceptance, and also from our experience, it's important to go to the end users and introduce and explain them which are the benefit of to be part of an energy community in the most simple way as possible, because all of us, at least our now that we are involved in project, we have technical background and we are working a lot on these kind of topics. But when we go to the end user, which have different background, different feeling, and we see also from, for example, in Udeverly demo, in which we have young people, but also old people that are not aware about energy field, energy topic, try to explain the benefit in the easiest way, is the best way to proceed. I don't know if there are some comments on this aspect, on this question from other project partner based on their experience. Okay, so if not, we can proceed with the last poll about social acceptance. That it's quite easy question, I think. So how much importance you think energy citizens give to the climate neutrality? So do you think that citizens give a high, medium, or low importance on the climate aspect when we discuss about energy community in Europe or outside Europe?
Yes, so the poll has closed.
Okay.
Now.
Okay, so I think that's interesting, the results of the poll. So the fact that the main priority of energy citizens do not give an high importance to the climate neutrality, but more related to medium and low. That's, I think, interesting, because in these days we always discussed about climate neutrality, climate change, and the fact that energy citizens do not give an high priority to them when we talk about energy cooperative. It's an interesting aspect. I don't know if the other project partner, the other project coordinator, sorry, would like to have some comments on that.
For me, so what I have seen in discussions in various fora regarding this energy community and cooperation, the cooperation is so first of all, economics and technology has already lost this primary drive. So now it's about other issues, in particular making the world around, so the community and the world around safer for the next generations. And here I think energy, so the climate neutrality as an important part right next to the cooperation and improved community well-being. So I think it is, I would say, between medium and high. But the first, I would say, is the community building and improved cooperation.
Thank you, Andrea. I totally agree with you that the aspect related to the climate neutrality go in parallel with all the other aspects related to the energy community and the cooperation among energy citizens.
From our point of view in MERLON, we have drawn to the conclusion that the importance, let's say, that citizens give to climate neutrality is strictly connected, closely connected, let's say, to regional context. So in case there are active communities or active stakeholders in certain areas, like, for example, local DSOs or local cooperatives, and they perform campaigns regarding climate neutrality or beyond, let's say, the strictly electrical energy sector, then the people, the citizens listen to that, and they more or less engaged. For example, in our Austrian Living Lab in MERLON, we have a participation, even if it is a rural region. We have noticed participation from local citizens. Of course, this feedback will be also transferred from our guest experts in the next session. But in any case, the importance in climate neutrality of the citizens is strictly connected to the campaigns and how much it is set as priority from major, let's say, stakeholders. In extension to that, I would like to pose to Alessandra a question from the audience that concerns these, let's say, social aspects in energy community. So I will read to you the question. It says, out of our context, people do not familiarize with these questions. So it says just plastics or other issues. So I think it says here that we need more advocacy. And what can you do for that? So that is the question. I think the U goes to the need of adequacy and what the citizens can do for that. So would you like to provide some feedback on that? To me, it's not a really clear question, but
No, okay. Yeah, as I understand the question, I agree that this problem and this kind of discussion that we are having now in this workshop, not all the people are familiarized with these topics outside our context. And this is related, I think, with the second question we did on the social aspects. That means that we need to make all these topics more simple to be presented to the energy citizen to increase the awareness and their involvement in this kind of thematics. So it's important, in my opinion, that we transfer our language, our way to discuss and present these aspects which are important at European level for the future and will be more and more present in the Europe in the next year, should be translated in a very simple language for all the end users. So as we talk about recycling of the materials, etc., in an easy way, we need to make the same also from this kind of topic, which probably are less familiar for most of the people outside our context. So I agree with that. And what we can do is to try to explain the problems using very common language and attractive language for the people, don't looking at technical person, but from a wide audience. And the involvement of some citizen in our demo, in our project, and discussing with them about these thematics could help in identifying, I think, a language which is familiar to a wide range of audience.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Alessandra. Let's close here our poll and interactive session, and let's move on to the third and final section of our workshop. That is actually a panel with three guest experts. So I am sharing my screen at the moment. So it is a panel with three guest experts. Thomas Mikkelsen from GECO Global, Guillermo Lutz from Copernico, and Joachim Hacker from EE Cooperative. So we would like to let each of the guest experts to introduce themselves first, their organizations, their affiliation, etc. And then we can move on to pose some panel questions where each of them will provide their views and feedback. So possibly we can start with either Thomas or Guillermo. Please share your screen to show us some slides.
Yeah, I think you need to give us to share the screen, right?
Guillaume,
Who goes first? It's me. Should I go?
I make you presenter, but maybe if somebody else wants to start.
So hello, can you see my screen?
It's all black. Yes, now we see your slide.
Okay. So hello, my name is Guillermo Luz. I'm from Portugal, and First of all, thank you very much for inviting me for this panel. So, brief presentation on myself. I have a splitted participation, splitted roles. First of all, I'm a ProSeo researcher, H2020 project on mainstreaming the prosumer participation. And I'm a researcher at that project, but I'm also a PhD candidate at the University of Lisbon, Faculty of Sciences, but I'm also a member of Copernico Cooperative. So in these three areas, I make different things. Oh, sorry. In these three areas, I make different things. So in ProSeo, we have been working in two living labs. In Alentejo, where the first one was a village in the south of Portugal, where you can see these pictures that people have been designing an energy community locally, but we are also working in the wine sector, trying to establish what could be an energy community between wine agents, wine producers, wine growers, and a local village. Essentially, ProSeo, it's a project so from the social area. So we have been working in community engagement, but we have also been working in energy modeling. So we have been making some modeling and simulations of what would these communities be in order to give some assessment for the local communities on what is this kind, what exactly what we're speaking about. In my PhD, I've been working in essentially in demand-side management, collective self-consumption, connected with energy communities, and especially using methodologies from distributed optimization and multi-agent systems. What you can see on that picture, exactly, it's one of the main problems I'm approaching now. That's how can we coordinate consumption in order to maximize local collective self-consumption? So how can we turn on devices, appliances, home appliances, in order to maximize and put it under the same PV profile? But as a third vision, I'm also a member of Copernico, and in Copernico, I'm trying to drive tech and innovation group that actually puts up these renewable energy communities on the map from the side of cooperatives, but I'm also working in decision processes. So my line of work, it's quite eclectic because I'm working in several different aspects, but all goes deep into energy communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Guillermo. Thank you very much. We will come back to you with our questions. Let's continue with Thomas, if possible, from Gecko Global.
So yeah, thank you very much. My name is Thomas Mikkelsen. I am the CEO and founder of Gecko Global. We're a quite rare company, as I'd say it, specialized in focusing on bridging the gap in the energy industry between basically the technology and the end customers. And in this respect, the whole area of the energy consumers and the energy communities is really, really relevant. We are participating right now in 14 projects related to Horizon 2020, but we also have a lot of business projects, commercial projects aside that. We are a blend of social scientists, of psychologists, communication people that are basically trying to understand what are the drivers, the barriers, different engagement activities that are relevant in order for people to be active in, for example, community building, to take an active part in reducing their energy consumption or sharing their energy production, for example. To that extent, we have been developing different models that we are applying in different contexts, and I'll just very briefly introduce you to our overall thinking in this respect. We understand basically the value chain of engagement as part of an identification process where we need to analyze and understand basically where are the different drivers, what are the enablers, what are the barriers, who are the right people to speak to, and then design basically an approach where we can benefit everyone in the whole value chain. We have the technology, we have the different surroundings, the environment, we have different stakeholders, and basically we need to map out all these things and make a plan where everyone can see themselves. So the whole implementation and then monitoring afterwards is part of what we are also very much involved in. A very good example, I think, comes from our work in iELECTRIX. We have developed here what we call the NOAA engagement model, where we are basically looking at the first 3 steps of our overall model, identifying, analyzing, and designing basically our approach. What we do is that we are trying to, by doing interviews, by doing analysis on the ground, by being on the ground, understanding what are the different dynamics here, what are the different elements, what's the technology, what are the demographics, what's the culture. All this we are mapping out, and we are then able to see both the needs, the opportunities, and the different abilities. So we can provide the path basically for the community to become engaged, based basically on understanding the interest and also who will be the influencers in this respect. It's very interesting to see this model as being applied not only in this project, but as we can see that this is actually something that would also imply in other projects. Another project where we are maybe more looking at the 3 last sides of the model is ELAND, where we are developing or utilizing what we call the common impact model. Basically, this model is about understanding how can we create a governance structure once we have a energy community in place. How can we ensure that the people on the ground are actually accepting it, they're supporting it, that there are sufficient people to support and run basically all the daily things that needs also to be considered. It's important for people on the ground to see themselves taking part, to have a respond. So we are trying always to see how can we make things transparent, how can we involve the right people, how can we make sure that people feel ownership basically to what is happening. So many different and interesting aspects related to this. We have identified what we call a very overall multifactorial users behavior model, where we often see that there are 3 steps in relation to customer engagement or involvement. A starting point where we need to involve people, a second step where we can engage, and then last step where we will evolve and more develop basically people's participation. There can be many different aspects related to this, but we have utilized this as part of a project in Benefis, where we're actually creating an app which is responding to people's responses. So even though we have the same starting point, it would be developing together with the people's feedback, how they are responding, what is their actual consumption patterns. So even though, as I said, there would be a similar starting point, everyone after a month, 2, 3, 4 months will have very different patterns, very different aspects of the whole engagement taking part on the digital app. That was very briefly on Gecko and what it is that we are doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thomas, for your very interesting insight. Let's go to our last guest expert, Joachim Hacker from EE. Would you like to share some slides, Joachim?
Yes, I will do this. Can you see it now?
Yes, yes, we can see your screen, but not full at presentation mode.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now it's perfect.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Also from my side, Joachim Hacker, my name. I'm representing the European Center for Renewable Energy in Güssing. We are a quite small organization in Austria, in the southeast of Austria, quite close to the border of Hungary. So we had been living, let's say, quite long time on the Iron Curtain, directly on the Iron Curtain. And as you can imagine, this had brought us many many problems in our region. And many stakeholders, meanwhile, more than 20 years ago, said we have to change something here in our region, as otherwise we are going to become a dying region. And quite fast, after doing some SWOT analysis, we had seen that we can use the topic of energy as a driver here in the region, as at the end, energy is money. And we needed money in our region, we needed jobs, and therefore we founded this European Center for Renewable Energy Güssing as a private initiative. Meanwhile, we are more or less public initiative, and we did this foundation due to the statement of the increase for regional added value here in the region, to stop the outflow from the region, because we have a lot of resources here, and finally have not used this because we used a lot of fossil fuels in the early 90s, in the late 90s, and we wanted to reduce those things, and wanted to create finally jobs here in the region, and follow more or less decentralized local energy production with the existing renewable resources here in the region. And this was the most important topic during our last 15 to 20 years. So we tried to build up here a kind of a pilot region. We started with different pilot demonstration projects at the very beginning, more focused to the topic of biomass. So firstly, started with district heating systems. And this is quite interesting, because those kind of energy communities in this area of district heating systems already founded 20 years ago. And after this long time and after this long period, we are now discussing again the topic of energy communities, and now more or less in the sector of electricity. But we already have started with those kind of communities a long time ago. Yeah, moved on with different other pilots, CHP plants, PV plants for sure, and tried to act as a kind of regional energy agency, which is on the one hand side active on regional level. So we are also here in Austria climate and energy model region to do different initiatives in the area of energy efficiency, in creating new projects, in producing more renewable energies, and so on. And also have started not that long ago with a new initiative which is dealing with the adaptation to the consequences of climate change. So we said here in Austria, okay, there is a climate change, we can feel it, we can see it, and what can we do to be ready for this climate change here in our region? Apart from these regional projects, we have tried quite early to get involved also in international EU projects. On the one hand side, in cooperation projects. Many of you will know the different possibilities of Interreg, Interreg Central Europe, Danube region, and so on. So we are trying to do this on a cooperative way, and we are also quite strongly involved in different research projects in Horizon 2020 program. So Synergy MERLON, you've already heard from some of those projects, and iELECTRIX, but all those international research projects dealing with the topic of this new energy system, topic of battery storage systems, energy efficiency, data sharing, big data, energy islands, and so on. And we are acting in all those projects more or less as a pilot region. So we are doing the practice behind what technicians and so on will develop during the different projects, and we are trying to test different things here in our region due to this high rate of demonstration plants. And yeah, the final vision, let's say, is this this new energy system also here in our region, also in this rural region. We want to be this energy community of the future. We want to get connected with the operators, with the DSO, with the prosumers, doing different tests on this in different projects, and yeah, hope that the energy community topic and new regulations, which hopefully coming soon here in Austria, will help us to take this chance and yeah, follow the goals on 2030, 2050, and support this overall initiatives on national and EU level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Joachim, and thank you all three for the introductory presentations. We have around half an hour left for our workshop, so I would like to take the screen and pose some questions to you. So I will pose the question, and each of you will provide some feedback from your side, from your experience to the questions. So would you like to share give me the screens, the rights to share my screen?
Yes,
Perfect.
sorry.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I hope you can all see my screen now.
Yes.
Perfect. So let me start with the first question. So it revolves around social aspects on energy communities. From our limited experience, we observe that the principal motivation for an energy community setup is usually financial, related, for example, to access to virtual net metering or a similar financial scheme. While there is a certain, let's say, presumed difficulty for the citizens to actively embrace the citizen energy community vision, it seems to be easier, let's say, to join self-consumption schemes with more tangible benefit in terms of monetization. So according to your viewpoint, how important is the embrace of decarbonization and prosumer-centric collective energy future vision for the success of the energy community's strategy against, let's say, alternatives of economic incentives? And in addition to that, what are, according to your experience, the best practices in order to attract citizens in the formation of an energy community? Let's start with Guillermo, then Thomas, then Joachim.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think this question is quite related with the question on the poll on what is the citizens' engagement in the what is their kind of motivation to go into an energy community. However, I think this question on how important is the decarbonization, it depends on what actually we are looking at. For example, from my experience in the two living labs that we have been working, for example, the wine sector agents, they were really worried when entering an energy community or a collective self-consumption scheme. They were very worried with the questions of profits, because they are an enterprise agent. They have companies. They have this kind of questions in their budget. However, when we move to the more let's say ordinary citizen that it's exposed to all kinds of problems from social, economic problems. There are some other concerns. For example, in our second living lab, the concern was really much more into the questions of the monopoly that the DSO has on the system. How can they have their sovereignty fulfilled if entering an energy community? So the question is also decarbonization, it will have different levels of engagement concerning the kind of community we're looking at. And for example, if we look at places where climate change is actually very severe, for example, in the south of Portugal, that is becoming a widespread desert, these people need to engage in kind of decarbonization actions, and energy communities constitute a very important model for that. If we move to places where the economy it's the only worry, then it will be less the climate. So I think depending on where we are looking, what I think it unites all these things is that energy communities. During the workshop until now, I think there was not a strict definition or a common definition on what's an energy community, and we have been looking at it from several points of view. It is an aggregator, it is a microgrid, it is a collective self-consumption. Yes, it is all of that, but different places and different communities will enroll in different projects. But in any case, what makes it all together, it's the capacity of people to engage in the decision process within the energy system. And I think this is very, very attractive for people that are dispossessed, let's say. They are subjected to oscillations of prices. For example, in Portugal, when there's drought, in years of drought, the prices of electricity goes up because of there's a lot of hydroelectricity. So all of these aspects will be determined for joining an energy community.
So I can only second Guilherme. Unfortunately, you made most of all the good points. I would, however, maybe also emphasize that part of the problem in relation to establishing energy communities is that we have been looking not only, as you're describing it, Guilherme, for one standard of what is an energy community, but we have also been looking for a kind of killer application of what is that thing that will attract people. And what I was also showing in my presentation is that it's much more about understanding that this is a process where you need to identify the value seen from the different stakeholders' perspective, and even more so that this is also a process that will change once we are going. So it might be that a monetized element would be the driver at the first instance, but then when you have that, to keep on being engaged, it's not about the money anymore, because then it's about how can we support this, what's the legislation, how can we ensure that there's a maintenance problem, all these things comes. So it's an ever evolving art basically, and hence that it's about understanding the dynamics, and it's about understanding how can we create a governance model, and how can we ensure that we are actually giving people the value at the right point in time that they foresee for them to be engaged in this.
Yeah, I think also from my side, it is a quite difficult question, as we are more or less at the very beginning of these energy communities. I think in all the countries all over Europe, we also starting here in Austria, hopefully with regulation, concrete regulations at the beginning of next year. The regulations are under assessment now, and hoping to get quite soon results out of it. Nevertheless, the big question will be, I think, are we value driven or are we business driven? And this is the question, I think, who is the driver behind this energy community? I mean, we have experience since more than 20 years here in our region, and as I've already told you before, we already started with energy communities on the heating side, district heating side, and I think people are really much interested to decarbonize and to do actions for decarbonization. Nevertheless, on the other side, we are here in a very rural region, and the municipalities itself have probably not just interest on decarbonization, but also on earning money. I mean, why do we have started this initiative here? Not because the mayor had interest to do some decarbonization 20 years ago. I mean, that's the truth, but he wanted to have jobs. He wanted to have regional added value. And this is therefore a bit difficult to say, okay, what is now the social aspect behind this energy community? I mean, for sure, the situation has changed during the last 20 years. Nevertheless, it is depending on how these energy communities will move on. We see here in Austria that different organizations trying to prepare for this start of these energy communities, and depending on what is the overall interest of this organization, depending on this also, yeah, there will be the result then if it is rather value or business driven.
Thank you, Joachim. Thank you all for your answers. Let's move to the second question, which is business, let's say, related, and it is further to your feedback that you provided in the first question. So, according to Yusuf, elaborations that are, let's say, commonly accepted in the, let's say, research community on energy market models. There are the main business models that are identified related to energy community context are the community to play the role of an aggregator or a retailer, provided, let's say, flexibility related services or time of use optimization. The community as an energy producer, offering locally produced energy volumes based on shared distributed generation assets, such as, for example, shared PV installations. And the community as the local DSO, performing, let's say, flexibility optimization in order to solve local congestion management issues, possibly extended through private wiring solutions and privately owned local grid. So, which is the business model that you consider, from your viewpoint, the most viable and profitable, at least at this initial stage of energy community setup? And how applicable you think a value stacking perspective is, for example, the combination of one, two, or more roles as described above for an energy community. Let's start again with Guillermo and move on with Thomas and Joachim.
Okay, I have two answers for this question. The first answer is the realistic, pragmatic answer that, for example, here in Portugal, and from my experience, the only business model that is actually allowed now with the new regulation entered in 2019, it's collective self-consumption. People, this means that aggregators, virtual power plants, DSOs as energy communities, this is let's say more or less science fiction, because this doesn't exist. So this doesn't exist in regulation. The only business model that exists now, it's collective self-consumption, and collective self-consumption will be hitting a big wall, that is the tariffs, the grid tariffs, because if this kind of energy it's to use the public network, it will pay tariffs. So this will decrease the feasibility of projects. So when we go down the line until the real perspectives of possibility, we go into collective self-consumption inside buildings. So this is the kind of state in the Portuguese law. This is the kind of things that will actually happen. But this is from the pragmatic perspective. If we go into the possibilities and trying to understand exactly what makes more sense, I think, for example, now in the cooperatives, the discussion is quite centered on how can cooperatives become aggregators of flexibility. But for example, if we look at all these projects, maybe this is ongoing in other parts of Europe, but not in Portugal, and we don't even know when this will actually start. So I would say, to answer the question, that of course collective self-consumption on greater areas, because the law is it's some kind of restrictive towards that, but cooperatives as aggregators of flexibility, it's quite a potential, because people can decide collectively how to allocate consumption, whether you want to interact with the market prices, whether you want to interact with the collective with local production. So this is, I think, one of the best business models for renewable energy communities.
Very good. So I'll continue on that line. It is interesting that we are very much focusing now on Europe, where we of course have a history which is very much focused on the fact that over 100 years we have developed a very centralized way of thinking the whole energy system. Whereas if you go to India or you go to Africa and you see that there are many different other opportunities to develop business models in relation to energy communities, where you can jump basically directly to flexibility agents, or even more so like self-sustaining kind of small microgrids, local grids that can be bound together, and in that respect basically create a whole new way of ensuring electricity supply in a renewable way. So I think that we'll see different business models related to that, and I do think that we actually will see many of the central players in the European context developing business models that are applicable outside of Europe, that are very different to what we are seeing in Europe, because there I agree with Guilherme that there we have a situation where we have basically DSOs, TSOs, production facilities that are still kind of fighting who will be able to support and benefit from these new communities and the whole aspect. Because if you speak to the communities themselves, I do see that they want to be much more independent. The business models that they are looking for is basically not only to be self-consuming, but also to be part of the whole value chain much more.
Yeah, also, in my opinion, the most promising and realistic business model is the one for the producer and for producing local energy, especially out of photovoltaics. I mean, we are dealing with different projects actually, and we see that behind the other models, as for example the flexibility topic and so on, we have a lot of problems on technical side. I would not say science fiction probably, but we are really far away from doing this kind of models, for example, for flexibility in a broad region. We are dealing with living labs in the different projects, and we see that IoT devices, that interfaces and so on in many regions, households, wherever, are not available. I mean, we have a quite high standard out of this photovoltaic power plants, and we have a quite good connectivity with them. But we also have seen that, for example, we have a biogas plant here in our region. The biogas plant is meanwhile 13 years old, and we tried to, or we are still trying to get connected with it, to integrate it into different projects and platforms, but facing really quite huge problems, because the technical standards behind are not state of the art. They are 13 years old, and due to this fact, I think it will be quite difficult at the very beginning to do these models as flexibility, optimization, and so on. So I think we have to start with this energy production out of photovoltaics. We have to get familiar with these energy communities during the next 1 or 2, 3 years, I don't know. And this will be the main one, I think. And yeah, try to to bring out additional models, additional services from these energy communities. But in the first step, I think we have to focus on the best technologies we have, and this is more or less the production out of photovoltaics and sharing this electricity, sharing this energy with different other people.
Thank you very much for your answers. I think especially the final comment of Joachim gives us, let's say, the link to our final panel discussion question, which is more related to technical aspects. So I would like to make a short comment regarding, let's say, the technical background, let's say, that is essential for the energy community setup. In general, ICT, information and communication technology, is widely considered as essential, as also Joachim mentioned some minutes ago, for the realization of a market-based energy system that is heavily powered, let's say, by distributed generation and variable renewables. So, according to your perspective, which technologies can act as key enabler for active prosumer engagement and participation in energy communities? And this is the question that refers, let's say, not exactly to the status of nowadays, but more or less what technology you value as the most promising one in the coming years. For example, building level IoT infrastructure, smart metering, blockchain technology, which can be applied for peer-to-peer transactions in energy or flexibility markets, etc. Let's keep the sequence as before. Guillermo, would you like to start providing your feedback on that?
Yes. So I think that the most important technology, it's of course the smart metering. And for example, if we look at the Portuguese process, what have been happening is that all the new energy communities law, it allows for certain things, but only if you have the smart meter. Well, but the problem is that this smart metering implementation, it's not well spread. So there are lots and lots and lots of places in Portugal that do not have the smart meter. So these people will be automatically excluded from entering an energy community. So I think smart meter, it's what is actually needed. However, these smart meters that the DSOs install, they do not allow for more complex things. Flexibility, they do not allow for peer-to-peer communication. They are not they are not prepared to fulfill all these dreams of aggregation, of peer-to-peer, and this is quite a big problem, because what will happen is that on top of these smart meters, people will have to install other things to actually communicate with each other, whether it's with the internet, whether it's with other things. But as we can see, most of the projects are developing their own hardware, so this can be quite of problematic. However, if you ask exactly what is important for an energy community, for example, a citizen energy community, if they want to enroll in all these kind of activities, I think that one of the it's not a technology, but it's more of let's say a mindset, a methodology. I think that one thing that is actually important, it's open source. So I think that this kind of tools, this kind of hardware specifications, all these softwares, all these algorithms, all these things that are needed to actually computationally control all these kind of business models, they must have some kind of openness. And I think this is instrumental for communities that do not have access to all sorts of resources. Concerning blockchain, I think that blockchain is quite complicated. There's a research paper that came in last year that exactly states what is around blockchain. That is, it's kind of it could be a buzzword, but it should never be implemented in places where there's not already a technology that actually does the same thing. It's a distributed database. If you need distributed databases, blockchain is quite interesting. But if not, blockchain should not be used as default. And of course, blockchain got the problem of the energy consumption associated.
Okay, so I can continue like before. As Guillaume said, smart meters would be a necessary prerequisite. I do, however, think that the smart meters in themselves is not what will keep the energy communities going. They are rather a prerequisite for everything to get started. What is really needed and what we need in order to create a real governance and engagement is all the software on the other side that would help and provide people with feedback whether what they're doing works and not. I would also challenge a bit Guillaume's view in relation to blockchain benefits, which I presented before, actually operates with what we call the CO2 coin. So basically, people will have a very, very clear and observable monetized feature that comes out of their production and their CO2 reduction. So they can basically earn blockchain coins in relation to how well they are performing, in relation to giving the DSO an opportunity for flexibility on their behalf. So there are definitely some interesting things related to blockchain that people buy very easily into, because it's very clear for them that they get something in return. Not only they'll save on the energy bill, which is somehow fluffy, but they get actual CO2 coins on their efforts. So I do think that has very interesting opportunities. Also, and not least in respect to the fact that we will have to get a much more open opportunity for peer-to-peer, not only within national borders, but also across borders. As Joachim will probably say, living close to Hungary, it's stupid not to be able to share your energy with your neighbor if he or she is actually living just next door, but on the wrong side of the border.
Yeah, totally agree with you guys. I mean, smart meters are the base. Without smart meters, we are not able to do this energy communities. I mean, we do not have to discuss about this thing. We need them, and we have to do the rollout in all the countries as soon as possible to have the base. But in my opinion, what is really crucial and essential behind these energy communities is the support of different people, of the stakeholders who wants to be an energy community. I mean, this is a quite complex system behind. We are dealing with this topic now many months in different projects and so on. And it is not easy for us to understand what is the process behind. We have started to check different software systems, for example, and we find out that they are really quite expensive. And we need tools, we need open source tools, software, whatever, that really everybody is able to do this energy community, and not just the 1, 2, 3, or 5 big ones in the relevant countries. And this is the most important thing in my opinion. I mean, we are discussing in Austria now so-called one-stop shops, which probably could be a solution, so that everybody will be able to go to this support office, whatever, and get the relevant tools and get explanation and so on. So this is one of the most important things, in my opinion, that people get supported, that also quite small initiatives. And we, as I told you before, we are a very, very rural region here in Austria, in the southeast, and we do not have that much households. And different studies in Austria said that you need a critical mass, for example, of electricity, of energy, I don't know, 200, 300,000 kilowatt hours, that you are able to be economic and you can run this system. Otherwise, yeah, it will not make sense. And this is the main and crucial point, I think, that everybody gets easily access to information, to contracts, to software, to tools. And if this will be possible, I think, yeah, we will get a lot of energy communities during the next years. Otherwise, probably we will fail.
Thank you very much for this last, let's say, round of discussion on technical aspects. So this was also the final one, since we have reached the end of the workshop. First of all, I would like to very much thank our three guest experts for providing, let's say, hands-on feedbacks. Thank you for attending and for providing us with your very interesting, let's say, backgrounds. I would also like to thank all the projects that co-organized this workshop, MERLON, MUSE GRIDS, Compile, and iELECTRIX. And last, all the attendees, the participants that have joined and listened, let's say, to our project evolution and viewpoints, and also participated in the polls. Thank you for attending, let's say, the three-hour workshop, which is a long duration, even more since it is conducted in a remote manner. We will distribute a survey to all the participants, and we would very much like to receive your feedback. And what would you like from us to include in the next workshop on energy communities, which we intend, let's say, to do in some time, perhaps from now. So thank you all. Have a nice evening, and possibly we will meet again at the panel, at the workshop. Thank you very much. Nice talking to all of you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.